Dave Juskow and Michael Malice, thank you for coming. And I apologized, but I'll do it on the air, too.
Yeah.
I misunderstood Travis. I thought you had just checked in downstairs. I didn't realize you were waiting. So
I got to see Big Frida, so I'm having
So
a good
you're okay.
morning. Yeah.
What's Big Frida?
She's the Queen Diva. You already know.
I love that he said, "What's Big Frida?"
Who's Big Frida?
She's the Queen of Bounce. Bounce
That's right.
music. Yeah.
I don't know.
Is she
her.
right next door there?
She was sitting
I
in the
guess I
hall,
saw
and
her
I
too,
surreptitiously took a photo and put it on my Instagram.
I don't like that Dave Juskow just assumed she was doing Shade 45.
Oh yeah, I just I did.
That's coming across as very racist.
Was she?
Racist.
What are you gonna do?
Did she do it or no?
I don't know.
I'm from Jersey.
Did she do Shade 45?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I'm assuming that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
what? I mean, come on. What else is she doing? Like, she's Big Frida, y'all. Get back now.
So Mike is the host. You're the host of You're Welcome every Wednesday at 2:30 on Compound Media with our friend Anthony.
Yeah. And Artie now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and Artie. That's
that's
right.
crazy.
The AA show.
We're co-workers now. Me and Artie Lang.
Perfect, right?
Yeah.
Just what you signed up
it's such
for.
a mind fuck.
Well, you're probably there until they get there. If you're on at 2:30,
Yeah,
what are you? It's an
I met
hour?
Artie for the first time yesterday. It was weird because when I was in high school, I used to watch E! all the time, and Stern. And I just tweeted this out. I go, if you went back in high school and told me one day me and Artie Lang would be coworkers, they'd be like, wait, black president? That's not what you're opening with?
So what is your show about?
It's just me, just a talk show, just me and bringing on like fun, interesting guests every week. I do a lot of politics and a lot of, I think politics is my biggest one.
Well, you're able to do also. You do politics. You're an entertaining guy, but you can do politics seriously. Like you do Tucker all the time and stuff. Like that.
Yeah, because I'm in my North Korea background and I'm writing a new book on the New Right, which comes out in April.
I like when you do Tucker because you have your serious face when
Yeah.
you do Tucker. Like I can tell that you're like you have a serious face. You're like we're not smiling. This will remind me not to crack any jokes. I'm here as an expert on North Korea.
Oh, I crack
only.
the jokes, but I was born in the Soviet Union, so the Soviet side comes out. When I'm talking
Born in
North
the
Korea.
Soviet Union?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
But you don't have any accent or like. When did you move from there?
When I was 2, but actually I just had a job interview at one point. They said, "Where are you from? You're obviously not from New York." And I literally said, "Can I curse?"
Sure.
Yeah.
I said, "Motherfucker, I'm about to monitor out the window." He goes, "You sound like you're from the Midwest." I got the job.
You didn't tell me you were born in Russia?
I did, but I was shocked that he said I talk like a newscaster,
Yeah.
which I don't think
Well,
I
you
do.
don't have a heavy accent. That's a good point. Like, newscasters are very neutral accents. You don't have a heavy accent.
But they have a specific accent. They talk in this Mid-Atlantic accent, which is kind of from the 40s, which I hate that voice.
I guess
Right.
it makes everyone comfortable, they think.
Yeah, it's just affected.
And
I think-
location neutral.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think-
yeah.
But your voice is location neutral.
I
mean,
think
maybe
so.
it doesn't have that like anchory vibe to it, but it is. There's no specific regional dialect to it.
I can talk like Soviet if necessary. I'm modern day Dan Soder.
I like modern day Dan Soder because Dan Soder is of yesteryear.
Yes, exactly. The old Dan Soder we love. The new one
You
is
will
shit.
never see him again. He went back to Moscow.
Hey, so have you been in North Korea?
I have.
How many times?
Just once was plenty.
How long
Oh,
did you go?
really?
For a week, yeah.
That's not your vacation spot?
It was my vacation spot because then whenever you go to a party, you've got party cred. You've never been?
Yeah.
It's the new Milan.
How long ago were you there?
This was in 2012.
Did they have the train that rides around town playing that song in the morning?
You have the loudspeakers blasting whatever it is, the
Like-
propaganda song, which
yeah,
is basically
like-
their wake-up call.
That's like 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. or something?
Yeah,
They-
but we were on. So when you're there, you're in a hotel that they nicknamed the Alcatraz of Fun because it's on an island in the middle of the river in Pyongyang, and you're not allowed to leave. So we didn't really hear the morning wake-up call.
So wait, was that Kim Jong Il or was Un in charge by that
Kim
point?
Jong Un was in charge by that point. Yeah.
Oh, he was. Okay.
Yeah. Kim Jong Il died in 2011.
Okay. So you're staying in this hotel, and everything's guided. I know in North Korea, like you literally everywhere you go, there's people with you, and you're not allowed to.
But see, that's not. That sounds more ominous than it is because you can go on a guided tour of London or New York, and that wouldn't be weird.
But
in,
here you can't do anything but guided, right?
Correct.
Yeah, North Korea,
And
they
there's
kind
two
of-
guides, and they watch each other.
So if you were like, I'm kind of just going to wander off and do my own thing, they'd be like, that's... No, you're not.
Well, no, and also the guides are going to get in real trouble because their
Right.
job is to
Wow.
keep an eye on you, but they can't go on your floor because the floors in the hotel are segregated by nationality.
Really?
Yeah, so their floor has no lights. They stepped off the elevator into darkness. It was it's just terrifying to watch because we have BBC in our TVs. I think it's the reason, so they're not allowed to go there.
But so they just go off into darkness.
Yeah.
And they just go into a dark area and just wait until the next morning.
I don't know what's in that void. I don't know
Wow.
if it's some kind of Cthulhu creature, but they stepped off that elevator and they were drinking with us till like midnight and they were up at 6. And I don't know how they do it, but they did it.
They
And
don't wanna go to
including the
labor
girl.
camp.
Including the girl. She did it. She was pounding him down.
Wow.
So did you go to any stores by yourself? Like you weren't allowed just to go to a supermarket and grab something?
They don't
or-
have supermarkets.
They don't.
Supermarket.
They don't have
there's
Stop and Shop over there?
They don't have Stop and job. So we went to a few stores. There's like the bookstore where all the books except for one are about Kim Jong Il and Kim Il Sung.
What's the one?
The ones about the North Korean, I talk about this in my book, the North Korean Nelson Mandela, Ri In-mo, who was held captive in South Korea for decades after fighting for the North.
Oh, because he's a hero to the...
Yes.
Because he's supporting the rights
Correct.
of
The other one is
of the
a
North
Garfield
Koreans.
compilation.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no cats there. They've all been eaten during the famine.
So that's the selling point over there. That's the vibe, that they are this sort of this people that have been done wrong against, and that we all need to support North Korea because
Who's we all?
North Koreans.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Because, well, they don't consider themselves North Koreans. They consider themselves Koreans. So whenever you're there, N and S in North and South are lowercase because Korea is one country, indivisible. It was the first country on Earth, the first language spoken on Earth. And the South isn't a country. It's a region held captive by the U.S. imperialists. Wow. So all the maps have one Korea, except when you go to the DMZ, which is the border between the two.
So the DMZ, let me ask you, were there any vibes from any women there? Like, or is there no way?
They don't. They're very, very, very chaste, right? And in fact, the great leader Kim Il Sung, he was writing there was some book that was being written, and he goes, "Better that the protagonist fall in love with like an old widow than a young girl who's had sex, because everyone likes pure water," was his quote. So they're very, very chaste. But they look at us like animals. So for them to hook up with a white person, or even a Chinese, would be like an abomination. It would be like like being gay in the 50s.
Really?
Yeah.
So now are they allowed to travel to China or no?
No, they can't travel. So just quickly, North Korea is dedicated to racial purity. It's the most racist and homogenous country on Earth. It's something they don't talk about. They can't travel anywhere. In fact, if you're a diplomat, you have to have family who stays behind, so they're hostages, so you don't defect.
Goodness.
So they have everyone under total control all the time. So when people talk about it, they think it's like, oh, they have these wacky leaders. It's so many more layers of oppression and control than people realize. And I discuss this at length in my book.
Because
it's really terrible.
They want to not only have North Koreans or Koreans, according to them, in their country, but they want all of them in their country.
Correct, and you can't escape.
Right.
It's a giant prison camp.
So now this whole thing where they can't be this irrational. Like
There's
this whole
nothing
thing
irrational about them.
with starting nuclear war. They can't be that stupid to not understand what the results will be.
Correct. The thing is, if you guys saw The Incredibles, they talk about how supervillains like to go in monologues. So when you go there and you buy their books, they expel out their philosophy explicitly, and they say, look, we're like an anthill against an elephant. The Americans are like elephants. We can't kill the elephant, but we could get it to move where we want it to. And they say, if necessary, we know how to treat America, and that means slapping her across the face. So they are brazen in what their strategy is, and they haven't started any war. I mean, they're just shooting missiles. They haven't started anything.
I've said the same thing too. Like I think he's not a complete dope to think that he's gonna start a real physical conflict and get away with it.
Of course, and look at the missiles. So like, there's two types of bank robbers, right? There's the bank robber who goes in the bank and starts shooting at the ceiling and says, "Give me your money," and there's a bank robber who goes in the bank and starts shooting at people. Yeah. Now, the first one may be a bad person, but he's not stupid or crazy. He wants to get out of there. The second one's the dangerous one, who's a lunatic.
Right.
All those missiles are going to the ocean. They're not shooting them at Seoul. They're not shooting them at Tokyo.
And I guess they did the minute they realized they were about to have a dead American on their ground.
Right.
They shipped him back immediately.
Exactly, because you want the hostage returned safely so you get the ransom.
They also, I also thought if they really wanted to start a war, if they were for real, they would just plow through the DMZ because they could do that. They could run right over those 28,000 soldiers.
Well, there's a lot of mines, but the thing is, it's the most mined border on Earth. However, those missiles can hit Seoul.
Sure.
What's like, what is that, 20 miles south, 5 miles south? And how many people live in Seoul? Can you imagine? Forget nukes. A city of skyscrapers getting hit by missiles. The visuals of that is Independence Day.
So what is the goal then here?
The goal is,
on their part.
The goal is to maintain the regime in power, and the goal is to humiliate the U.S. imperialists at all costs. And once they have nukes, they're going to be pretty impenetrable. And Kim Jong-il said, the father of Kim Jong-un said, to fight the Chinese dragon and the Russian bear and the American eagle, I have to turn our country into a hedgehog. By which he meant missiles pointing in every direction, and no one can attack a hedgehog, no matter how big they are.
Oh, okay.
Because there's missiles.
Yeah, like the spines of a hedgehog.
So they're like, he goes like this.
Yeah.
He's like, I know we can't win,
right?
But we can do a lot of damage on the way out,
right? And yeah. having Kim Jong-il take over for his father, Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea, went against all communist propaganda. Because, of course, in communism, everyone's equal. The idea you're going to hand over the leadership to your son is crazy, right? So they have a backstory to explain this. And there's this big meeting that never happened where Kim Il-sung's with the generals. He says, what if the U.S. Americans invade? What are we going to do? We'll kill them all. We'll win. And he goes, well, what if we lose? And Kim Jong-il says, if we lose, we will destroy the world. And he goes, spoken like a true supreme commander. And that was his justification for taking over. So their whole premise is, if we're going down, we're taking as many people with us. And you can't blame them.
Right.
That's the best kind of threat to make, is a threat that you actually mean.
Can I just ask the ultimate question? Why did you go there? And how do you even get a flight there?
It's
From
legal.
China, right?
It's legal. There's one flight in and out. Anyone can go. Not anymore. They just changed it recently. It's
Is it because of the kid?
because of the kid and because of these nuclear escalations.
Right.
I went because being born in the Soviet Union, being Jewish, those are two chances someone in my family could have been in a concentration camp. And they have camps right now that you can see on Google Earth where they take whole families. So I'm like, I want to see what my family went through, 70 years ago.
Were you able to get near those camps? Probably not.
No. When you go here, you're not going to Attica.
Were you nervous you wouldn't be able to return? At all? Or?
I was nervous until I was not nervous once I was there. I was nervous before I got there because if they found out who I was or what I was doing, doing research for a book, that would be a big problem. But I got through.
So when you think that this whole Otto Warmbier?
Yeah, Warmbier.
Do you think he actually took that? Because there's that black and white
100%.
photo. He did take it.
He tried to take it. So not only did he try to take it, he was trespassing. So before I went, you do your homework online, and there's a secret floor in the hotel that you're not allowed to go. Now, if you go to the White House,
The fifth floor.
yeah, or it's like the fourth and a half, right? So if you go to the White House and you start trespassing, and you steal Hillary Clinton's portrait, that Secret Service isn't going to wag your finger at you.
Sure.
So you can't go to the North Korean guards and give them the finger and expect not to have consequences.
Sure,
That
but this
said,
wasn't the White House. This was a hotel, right?
Yeah, but it's effectively everything state
Everything
property
is the
there.
White House.
And you're dealing with murderers who have no respect for their own people. Why would they respect you?
Sure.
So he was playing a very dangerous game, and it's disgusting and tragic, but he paid the consequences.
So you have to understand when you're going there, right, that every building you go to is the White House.
And these people are monsters.
Right.
Who chose to allow 1 to 2 million of their population to starve in the 90s rather than let go of their hold of power.
So why did he just did it to get something cool to bring back? Wasn't there another souvenir he could have gotten?
Exactly. I mean,
I guess you take the risk because if he'd gotten the photo, he would have been.
No, the flag. He was trying to steal the banner, right?
No, I think it was a picture with one of the leaders on it, which the iconography of the leaders there is regarded as holy.
And then he would have been like a living legend here. Like it would have been a classic, a legendary photo or
I
something
don't think
like
anyone
that.
would care
No?
here.
No
They'd be
one
like,
would care,
okay, you got
no.
a
I
poster.
figured I
great.
wanted him to have a reason for doing
Yeah,
this
because
risk.
back here, we
know?
wouldn't look at a picture of a leader like with any kind of holy religious context. You'd be like, who cares? It's just a photo of that guy. You could look it up online.
Exactly right. And
Right.
they're like they tell these stories in the newspapers of someone having a fire and they run in and they save the two portraits and they themselves die and this is regarded as virtuous. And it's like we can't wrap our heads around this mentality.
Yeah, because you could why wouldn't you just get another picture
Right,
printed?
and everyone in North Korea has these two picures on their walls. So it's
So
like,
why wouldn't you just get one of
I
some of
know,
your neighbors?
I know, it doesn't make sense.
But they buy it.
But they
do
they
the people do the people buy it, or are they so shook that they're just like, okay, whatever you say?
The people are decreasingly buying it. The young people, as more and more information are going in, are like, wait a minute, maybe Kim Il Sung couldn't literally walk on water and turn leaves into bullets.
How is the information starting to leak?
Turn leaves into bullets. They really believe that shit?
Oh yeah.
Oof.
What's your magic?
I mean, if you're magic. So, I'm more surprised by the walking on water than leaves into bullets. That's MacGyver. We have MacGyver. MacGyver can't walk on water.
That's true.
So, I mean, but the thing is, it's like in America. You have people in the countryside, the rural areas who are more credulous, and people in the cities who think they're sophisticates. And especially because as people are defecting and they have like memory sticks they're getting from China, they're learning about the outside world.
Oh, right. The memories.
Yeah, and
there has to be a way for some people to get some internet access. There has to be people smart enough to figure that out.
Well,
there.
they don't have electricity. How are you going to have an internet access?
They really don't have electricity?
No. So if there's this very famous picture of the Korean peninsula at night, and South Korea is lit up like a Christmas tree. In the north, there's just one spot, which is Pyongyang. So people think you go to the capital city, Pyongyang, and it's so beautiful, and to lie to you, it's not beautiful. Everywhere you go, there's a crack. Every single place has a smell. Every place had a fly, including the plane. The carpets are all stained. And there's Central Park. There's this fountain that wasn't running, and it's covered in mildew. So you can't escape the corruption decay. And even the capital city at night, they don't have most electricity. So
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize they had no electricity.
It's not no, but at the it's for the most of the country, it's no at night, and in the capital, it's like, let's say 70%.
So after you get back from going there,
Yeah.
do you feel like, okay, I got what I not only just research for your book, but like you said, like I want to go and see what my relatives had to deal with back then. Like, did you get a sense of it, a better sense of it?
Yeah, and it was funny because I showed the photos of North Korea to my friend, and he's like, "This looks like Russia, but it's Asian people wearing Russian clothes in Russian buildings." It was like a total mindfuck for him. The biggest thing that I took away, which drives me crazy to this day, is every single person I met there, every kid, every woman on the street that I waved to, every single one is still there. So that really fucks with your head.
Yeah.
Like, think about everything you've been doing for the last 5 years. They're still trapped there, and there's nothing they're going to do about it.
And are all your photos approved?
Oh, no, they don't care. The guides are savvy. Like, and the thing is, the company that you work with, they can pick which guide they want. So there's some guides who are like kind of hip with the program, and the ones who are really into the propaganda, they don't work with.
So let me. Do they check your? I would always be scared to go. Do they look on your? They could look on your phone if they wanted to.
But they take your phone. They at the airport, so you only have your camera.
Wow.
Oh, you don't have a phone.
No, they took it.
So did you have like a digital camera?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get it back when you leave?
Yeah, at the airport.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
They
So-
kept track of it the whole time? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'd be so worried. I'd be like, I gave it to you 5 days ago. You must have a ton of cell phones.
If something a ton of cell phones. How many
Nobody's
tourists
coming
go
in.
to that country? 30?
True. Yeah.
But then you don't think they messed with it or went onto your phone or anything?
No. I don't think they did.
Oh, yeah, right. Maybe there's a tracking device on it or something.
Well, I got it with Metro PCS. I don't know about that.
I didn't realize they took your phone at the airport. What
Yeah.
a weird thing to say. We're taking the phone.
It's not weird because they don't want you contacting the outside world.
Yeah, that'd be the way to do it, wouldn't
Yeah.
it?
No, I mean, I know why
Dave
they do it,
Chappelle,
but for
Dave
that-
Chappelle shut your phone off before
And
his
they
show.
don't want you selling your phone to somebody in North Korea.
Oh,
More
because now
importantly,
then there's a phone
yes,
in the thing, and they
loose.
slowly start to
Wow.
lose control
Yes.
that way.
Well, they have phones with each other, don't they?
Yeah, but I mean that's very expensive and I think it's all monitored.
Do they have cell phones there or no?
Yeah, but again, it's
Plus, so much of
local.
it doesn't have
They're not-
electricity.
Well, they have. They don't have. You're not calling to China on
Right.
your cell phone. It's like local service only. It's like the show The Prisoner from the '60s.
Right.
So they keep a pretty tight lid on it. Is there
No
a way to
roaming
sneak a phone in or
charges.
no?
Yeah, people have snuck phones in, but how are you going to sneak a phone if you don't have cell towers? Do you know what I mean? Like you need a lot of technology and functionality for that.
So there's no need to sneak it in because you won't get any reception.
Right.
Unless you have a satellite phone.
Right.
Do you think there's any chance that, the people will or could uprise? I mean, at some point?
So,
I'm
so
sure
North Korea has something called sessions of daily life, and what that means is everyone in North Korea is slotted into like their school or their neighborhood or their office, and once a week you have to get together and say like AA, or for example, you have to say what you did wrong, and then your colleagues have to say what they saw you doing wrong.
Oh my God.
And this has been going on since the 70s. So everyone watches each other all the time by law and reports on each other publicly by law. So the idea that you can get together and be like, hey, let's take down Kim Jong-un is
not gonna happen.
It's not going to happen. So they're very
Too many snitches. Everybody snitches.
by law. So people talk about how like they're dumb or crazy. It's like this is brilliant. I mean, it's a brilliantly
it is
totalitarian
brilliant.
dictatorship,
Yeah.
but they got it covered.
I mean, it's evil,
It's pure evil.
but it's
evil
that
genius.
super villain
yeah, and
mentality.
When I was writing the book, didn't happen overnight. This was a decades-long process as they closed the barriers and sealed the country, and step by step, took over complete control.
Have you heard from and not that the communication is terribly easy from over there, but have you heard from anybody over there about your book? Do you know?
There's no way if anyone had my book in North Korea, they and their families would be executed immediately.
Do you know if the North Korean government is aware of you or your book?
They are, but they only go after their own. So since I'm white and Western, I don't matter to them.
But you couldn't go back.
I could, and don't ask me how.
Don't you love being considered white and Western and not Jewish? Isn't that the best? Sorry. I just
Sure.
thinking of myself.
Sure. Okay, I feel like I'm back in Charlottesville.
So wait, how could you go back?
I'm not. You want me to publicly tell you how I could trick the North Korean government?
Oh, you would be tricking them.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
He's got a mask. See, he's got one of those. He's got
It's
a
like
nose.
Scooby. It's got Scooby Doo. It's gonna pull off.
Well,
the
you're not
slot
gonna
match.
go back.
I was thinking.
Maybe he's
about,
already been back.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Then my friend went. And I looked at the photos. I'm like, I couldn't take it again. It fucks with your head really bad to see them.
When you're in the DMZ and you're in that building where
Yeah.
the room is divided, you have the North soldiers and the South soldiers, and I guess they know each other on some level because they look at each other every day.
No, because they're watching each other. So they know of each other, but
Yeah.
they're not communicating.
You don't think they speak at all?
They can't because the guards watch each other, right? The northern guards. So if my buddy is a guard and he's talking to the south, he's a traitor.
But you don't think they just nod at each other once in a
No,
while?
hell no. They're watching each other to make sure there's no signs of anything.
Because, like you said, that the mentality of the country is to rat everybody out.
Yes.
Like he's not
And this is a plum position.
right.
So if you're on the south side and it's split in the middle, like what happens if you walk to the north
It's not
side of
split in the middle.
The room's not.
So the room is not. The room you can walk anywhere you want in the room.
Because they're not going to step over the line in the room.
Right. There is
Okay.
no. I don't think there's a line in the room.
The room is kind of a neutral.
Yeah.
But if you walk out that door,
Oh, you're just gonna have major problems.
would you be arrested immediately?
If not shot.
Can you walk out that door, or are there guards
Wait, for
blocking
me,
it?
go to the south, or for the south to go to the north?
No. For like, if you're as a American tourist, you're in the DMZ, and you're in that room between the two countries. If you walk through the north side, or the guards stop you from walking through?
Yes. Even though I'm there as a tourist of the north, yeah.
No,
Because
as a tourist of the south.
Oh, there's no way they would shoot you. Oh yeah.
As an American tourist, if you walk through, they would.
Oh yeah, they would love it. So in 1970, I think there were two Americans who went to chop down a tree at the DMZ, and the Northerners.
Why'd they do that?
Because it was blocking their view. So the
Oh,
Northern.
that's so American.
Well, the Northerners took that axe and chopped up the Americans. The axe is still on display in the North, and they are regarded as heroes. And the Americans came back with what they called Operation Paul Bunyan, which is like a huge show of force. And they didn't chop down that tree; they left a stump to show those North Koreans who's boss. Yes, Operation Paul Bunyan.
Wow,
That's like that Marvin the Martian who wanted to blow up the Earth because it blocked his view of Venus.
Yeah.
So that was
Exactly
why they
right.
cut it down.
Yeah.
But it was in the north.
The South, the Americans wanted to see the North and chop down prune the tree, and the Northerners chopped them up.
But wasn't the tree? Was it in south or was it?
It was in the DMZ in the neutral area.
Oh.
And they said you didn't ask for permission, and now you're
now you're dead. Now you're
dead, both of you.
minced meat.
And they boast about using Taekwondo tactics, which is the Korean martial art.
Great.
Everything Korean's great. Yeah.
Well, is there a guard inside that room blocking the access to the north?
No, I think they're in the corners, if I remember correctly.
But I mean,
chopped
you
them up
can't
with
walk out that
No,
door.
you're not walking out that door.
You'd be stopped.
Oh yeah. There's guard. That's what points a guard. That's the way guards are for in any building.
I would imagine that Dennis Rodman's treatment in North Korea is very, very different from yours.
No, we were probably both treated very well. But I mean, I'm not getting drunk with Kim Jong Un.
Right, you don't think they put on a show for him?
That's what I mean. Like, don't
Of
you think
course.
that they try to avoid like the fountain that doesn't run and the cracks everywhere?
I mean, he is
mildew?
such an abomination, and I mean, like he should have had Otto Warmbier's fate. I mean, this guy was on Sunday morning TV, and they asked him about the concentration camps, and he literally said, "We have prisons. What's the difference?" So it's like, listen, buddy, if you're making apologies for someone who murders children to maintain political control, you are as low as it gets in humanity.
But is he? But let me ask you this: and just if he's going over there and he has some kind of relationship with the guy,
Yeah.
we deal with people who are scumbags, and
Sure.
and like when our politicians, they never speak honestly.
Sure.
Like they're not talking about what barbarians China can be or what pieces of shit this.
Sure.
There is a certain amount of way you talk about things when you have another goal. Not that Dennis Rodman has a higher motive. But I mean, if he's got an in with the guy, why fuck it up just to say what we already know?
Well, but Donald Trump's never killed anyone. Hillary Clinton's only killed one person. So I mean,
No, I mean the way they
Kim
speak
Jong-un.
about other countries, though. The way like Trump and Hillary or all politicians will talk about another country. If they're an ally of ours, even if they're pieces of shit, like the Saudis, they don't speak honestly about the
Sure,
Saudis.
correct.
So, I mean, I don't really fault Rodman for not trashing big little fat
There's a
Kim
difference
Jong.
between not trashing and having a moral equivalence between concentration camps and American prisons.
Maybe he's dumb, though. He's not a bright guy. He might,
that doesn't cut ice with me. I'm sorry.
you think that he
now-
knows?
I don't know what he knows, and I don't care. I mean, I'm enough of a eugenicist that if you're that stupid, that maybe we should put you down.
I would go over there and hang out with him if I could.
Who, Kim Jong Un?
Yeah, why
so would
not?
I. In a second. Are you kidding? This would be a mindfuck.
But when I came back and I was like, "Don't you have a problem with the concentration camps?" You'd be like, "Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
that's
I
why
do."
I'm doing. That's why I wrote my book. and I'm
Only
doing
if you
my
weren't
work.
going back, though. But before you, like on your last trip, you'd say that when you
Well,
came back.
they say that the UN attacked them for these camps, and their response was, "We don't use that term, so we don't have any." It's brilliant.
That's so.
Isn't that amazing?
I mean, you talk about semantics.
Yeah. So sorry about it.
And Rodman has no shot at getting anything done, probably. I don't think he'll be able to change anything.
He does have a shot in the sense that, when you know someone in another country, maybe you have warmer affection for that country. So in some vague sense.
In the sense that he's making America not seem like the villains.
Yeah, 100%.
In this sort of very small beginning steps way.
So they're taught that we started the Korean War. So
Did
That's
we?
today's?
No, we didn't.
headline?
I didn't think so.
But
Oh, my
you also,
God.
that's from a few days ago. But you also,
yesterday.
Yeah, that was
oh,
yesterday. Dennis Rodman wants to straighten things out between Donald Trump and North Korea.
So
Which
you
I
never
think he
know
could. That's
who people
hilarious.
listen to. Like
Right.
you never know what friends influence people the most. Like it's really like
That
like
could work.
how many the dumb example, MASH was going to be taken off the air in its first season, but the wife of the head of CBS, I think, loved it and would
That's
talk.
right.
Like you never know who someone's listening to. So maybe this fucking ridiculous Rodman says something that Kim Jong Un's like, maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, who the fuck knows?
I mean, seeing him
Yeah.
boasting that they go skiing and don't talk politics, I mean, this doesn't sit well with me.
You
Particularly.
don't like that,
Yeah.
Because there is politics to talk about with Kim Jong Un.
But that might be the only way to do it is to not do it, and then you wait for him to bring it up. It might be the only way in. It's like you want to try to fuck a hot girl. You can't always be trying to put your hand down her pants. You have to kind of wait until she indicates,
You just
and then
said
she's
he's-
like, "Oh,
I
this,
mean,
You just said he's a stupid man.
I'm
He's
sorry.
Not.
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry.
playing. I'm going.
Hold
I don't
on,
know.
You're playing
hold on,
devil's
hold on.
advocate.
Yeah, I don't
Hold
know.
on. Kim Jong Un is the least hot girl on earth. Number one. Number two is the whole point of my book. It's written in the first person. I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm explaining the North Korean point of view, and it's very unlike. No one in North Korea tells this guy anything or what to do. Do you know what I mean? He's an absolute dictator.
Like Kanye West.
Right. So if right. So if Dennis Rodman is saying we don't talk politics, I think it's very hard to. And the thing is, the moment that he starts to contradict him and make a problem, he's going to get on a plane and get kicked out.
Well, maybe one time Kim Jong Un asked him what he thinks. You never know. I mean, like but
Right.
that's what I'm saying. You don't mention it. You wait for the other person
So
to mention
after,
it.
after several visits, a couple of drinks, Kim Jong Un is like, "So seriously, Rod, are the prison camps that bad?" And then Rodman then has the opportunity to be like, "Dude, I love you, but yeah."
Rodman
they're
talks
pretty
like
bad."
that guy from the Fat Albert gang. Like you can't understand anything he's saying. What's his name? Mushmouth. It's the other one. It's Dumb Donald, right?
Well, plus they have a
much
translator. I'm sure.
Yeah,
Does he
yeah.
speak English, Kim Jong Un?
Yeah, exactly.
Does Kim Jong Un speak English or not?
No, I don't think
That's my
so.
other question. They're sitting there talking to each other, but what are they talking about if he doesn't speak any English?
Well, there's obviously a translator of some sort.
I know what they're talking about. They're discussing whether a hot dog's a sandwich. And the answer is no.
right.
It is probably a nonsense relationship, a very surface level.
It's like a Rush Hour reboot, except one's a genocidal murderer.
Yeah.
And then the other one's Kim Jong Un.
Do you think? Let me ask you.
They talk about the Chicago Bulls
Yeah.
from the 1990s nonstop, which is probably all I would want to talk to Dennis Rodman about too. The 90s Chicago Bulls is all they talk about.
Maybe add in a couple of Pistons.
I mean, what was it like to fuck Carmen Electra? I mean, who doesn't want to ask those questions?
That would be my first question.
Do you think though that if he, like, say Kim Jong Un was going to start something for real, would it surprise you if one of his own people just shot him?
Yes. I can't even wrap my head around
Are they
it.
that are even the generals who are probably a lot smarter than he is and understand the consequences a lot more than he does?
Right.
Even they're willing to go down with the ship like that?
That's why they're there. They're not there because they're smart or they worked their way up through the ranks like Chuck Schumer or Mitch McConnell. They're there because of their loyalty to the regime.
Right.
So whenever a new leader took over, they purged the previous people's people because they said, I only want the people who are going to die for me.
What does purge mean?
Meaning,
rid of.
Either fire or kill
That's
or
what I was-
send to the countryside. They're not always killed. Sometimes they just become ambassadors or sometimes they get some crappy job somewhere.
But they know when they're sent to the countryside, you stay on the countryside because
of
otherwise
course, you're not allowed to travel in that country without government permission.
Well,
Really?
what is
Oh, yeah.
travel like?
Meaning, like if I okay, here's another level of oppression they have. They have something called Sungbun, which means they sat down in the 50s and they interviewed everyone in the country, and they did this every few years, and they figured out where you stood in relation to the regime, and you were slotted into it's like a credit score into 3 classes: hostile, wavering, and a favored class. And basically, if you are in a hostile caste, you can't go into the capital city. It assigns you where you live, whether you go to college, who you marry. So if anyone in your family is suspected of not being loyal to the regime, you can't even step foot in Pyongyang.
Is there movement or is it a caste system?
You can move up,
You're right.
but it's a lot easier to move down.
Right.
But how do they arrange the person you're going to marry or the class that you're going to marry?
So it's kind of like status here. Like if you're from old money, you're not going to marry some some hillbilly.
She's not one of us.
Right.
Yeah.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah.
Well, how do you even meet girls, or is it all arranged?
I mean, there's a lot of
I
arrangement.
mean, how
but
do you
it's
go
also-
on dates? Or
It was very cute because my guide, she was very desperate to speak good English, and her accent was impeccable. And she talked about how the parks they engage in gentle walking, and I'm like,
Oh, what a fucking dog shit date.
no, but I said the term is strolling. I mean, this is her translation, and like I felt really bad because it's like she's been saying this for years, and everyone's laughing at her. No one's corrected her. You know
Gentle
what I mean?
walking.
So you
Yeah.
corrected her?
Yeah, of
I'd be
course.
so afraid to correct anyone.
No. She was so happy. She had a little notebook. She was writing down slang.
So strolling means that that's what she does on a date. They go for a walk in the fucking mildew park.
In
by
stinky
the
mildew
river,
park.
by the Taedong River. It's very lovely.
So you don't think they fuck before marriage a lot there? There's not a lot of
No.
blowjobs in cars.
Oh, I don't think they know.
Do they even
They don't
have
have cars.
Yeah, do they have?
They don't have cars.
Do they work?
They work.
have
They're
jobs?
slaves. So
Oh, they're
Kim
just
Kim
yeah.
Jong Il said it's a very bad thing to have spare time because that allows people to be selfish and liberal.
That's
so they
true.
want to have every minute of your day
That's
taken care of.
terrifying.
It's so much worse than people think.
when you
Why
say
would people
travel
even
is
have
not-
kids?
What?
Like, I mean, why would people have
Would-
kids? Why would you want to bring somebody else into that
because that's all you
situation?
know and you love someone.
Or
And...
do they make them do that?
No, they don't make them have kids.
I mean, but isn't it cruel to then to procreate if in a situation like this? What your kids are going to grow up to be in this
come on,
slaves?
You're old enough to remember Ethiopia, where all those people are starving at those kids with pot bellies. And
Right.
It's like, what, they're fucking in these camps? Like that,
Yeah.
I can. People are
At some
fucking
point,
in
you got to
prison.
put your dick in something, and then you end up getting a
I
girl
understand
pregnant,
that,
and then a
but-
baby comes out. That's why kids exist, because
I know,
there's a
but-
reason they made unprotected sex feel good because
They.
they.
Some people are saying that Rodman's not evil though; that he's just being mischievous.
Who's saying that?
Someone on the phone.
I mean,
It's probably my
I
mom.
can't speak to whether he's evil or mischievous. I
What
can't
is
speak
mischievous?
to.
I don't know. Someone said that Michael
like a
has a
prank.
pure hatred for the word mischievous.
Oh no, I haven't. No. They fucked it up.
little
No.
scam.
Oh, they
I
fucked
have
it
a
up?
hatred when people say mischievous.
Oh,
because there's no
mischievous.
second eye.
Oh,
There's no third
mischievous,
eye.
yeah,
So,
mischievous.
so they didn't land the joke. Whoever's on that phone, you're pathetic.
Yeah.
And you should
Thank
drink,
you, Brady.
And drink bleach.
Okay, Brady, you're on the phone. No, you're not. All right, sorry.
Sorry about it.
So what do you suppose? What is the appropriate response when North Korea's like, we got all these missiles. Hey, guess what? The pink lady's back. We got hydrogen bombs. We're gonna blow stuff up. What are you gonna do,
You
America?
remember when they had a date where they're going to take out Guam, and President Trump said, we're going to respond with fire and fury the likes the world's ever seen. Everyone's like, oh my God, you can't talk to them like that. Guam's still here. So
Right.
when you speak to someone on the same level, you guys are comics, right? When
Yeah.
someone is funny and you're funny back, you see there's a rapport.
There's a certain language you speak.
Right.
You
So
understand?
if
yeah.
someone is being like, I'm going to destroy the world, you're like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to destroy it twice. You're like, okay, I get this guy.
I think as much as
Yeah,
Trump
I
has
believe
a,
him.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
Trump might have a bad rep, but I think that there is a guy like that. There is something scary about him to other people because he's unpredictable.
Yes.
And they know he's a
Yes.
loudmouth.
Yes.
Obama was a diplomatic guy, and they knew that he was going to be
Right.
very thoughtful
Yes.
and very careful. And Trump, they don't have that feeling
North
for
Korea
him.
would be like, we're gonna blow up Guam, and he'd be like, please don't.
Or no, please do. We don't need it. I don't have any hotels there.
But I think Trump's response was good on that. Actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it worked. Yeah, I mean, it absolutely worked.
I think it
And
worked, too.
also, the Tillerson came out and said we were having a lot of behind-the-scenes negotiations with them. So the thing with North Korea is you can never. This drives me crazy because whenever I see people on TV talking about North Korea and they don't know what they're talking about, I'm just like, shut up. It's
Mm-hmm.
a complicated subject. You can't take anything they do at face value.
Right.
Like if they're just like, how many? I
It's
remember,
all lies.
Yeah, I remember in 2014, 13, there was a photo of Kim Jong Un in front of his Apple computer, and behind him there was a nuke hitting Austin. And my friend's like, "Is he going to nuke Austin?" I'm like, "If you're going to nuke Austin, why are you putting it on Instagram that I'm going to nuke Austin? You nuke Austin."
Yeah, you don't already have the
I
photo
know,
of it.
exactly.
Could you make me a Photoshop of what this will look like
Right.
right before I do it?
Right.
And what did Trump say about that? We've been paying. We do kind of just pay them blackmail money just to not act up. Like, what is the money that we waste giving them that he was talking about? Because there's so much money I think that we put into that, isn't there?
I mean, the Clintons had them put a pause by basically bribing them. So North Korea also they boast about in their propaganda. They go, "Look, we're always going to have harsh language, but we'll have a way out." And they say, for example, we'll say, "We've never been offended like this. It's a huge humiliation against a great nation, Korea. However, if you want to give us some oil, we'll choose to forgive you this one time." So they're explicit that this is their strategy.
And Trump's basically saying, "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah.
So
He's like,
why-
why are we praying with blackmailer if you're still going to be escalating the tensions?
If this strategy is so explicit, why do we tend to fall for it?
Because it's explicit if you go to Pyongyang and read the books. I mean, not many people have done that.
Why don't they just read your book? If it's in your book, why don't they just read the book and be like, "Oh, Malice kind of cleared this up for us"?
If people in the media did more research, they wouldn't be in the media.
I guess
That's
that's
true.
true.
I mean, it's very sad, especially on this one issue. It's my pet peeve because it's so complicated. And they want to compare it to Iraq. They want to compare it to Hitler. They want to compare it to the Soviet Union. It's like it's its own thing.
Do you think that is China had kind of enough of this guy already? Are they
They've
getting fed up?
They've had enough with them for a while, and at the same time, they don't want 25 million refugees storming their border who don't speak Chinese, who've never seen a computer. They don't want an American ally on their border. So, and at the same way that North Korea likes to give us the finger, they like to give China the finger. Look, they're like, look, we're the size of Pennsylvania, and our leader makes China and the Americans crazy. I mean,
Right.
they should be proud of that.
But
Yeah.
if the tension is escalating, do you think China would want to cut them off completely?
North Korea, they're so smart that earlier this year he stockpiled 1 million gallons of oil and pointed out in their press release, and everyone missed this, that this latest hydrogen bomb, whatever it was made using homegrown materials, by which he means even if you sanction us and you make us completely isolated from the rest of the world, we can still continue with this. So
'Cause
China,
it's homegrown
right?
materials.
So China doesn't. This idea that China can just call them up and put a stop to this overnight is ridiculous.
No, not a
some
stop
peop-
to that, but
no.
just to fuck with them for like just to stop any type of trade. Because Trump has threatened to stop any type of trading with any country who's doing business with them, and that's a major problem if that happens.
I agree that's a major problem. But again, during the 90s when the famine hit, Kim Jong-il said having too many people makes socialism difficult. And he said if the UN feeds them, they won't need the government. So he let the people starve. So and then they will say, you're starving because of the U.S. imperialists. And
Right.
it'll be true.
Right.
In a sense.
So if the U.S. if they stop getting anything from any other country, they're prepared for that.
Yes.
They've set up the psychological
And they
thing.
said the Americans have wanted to conquer you since the 1860s.
And that's what they're doing here.
Was the USS General Sherman hit Pyongyang, and since we started the Korean War, and listen, the Korean War, as bad as it was for us, you have China and Russia in the north, you have the UN and Americans in the south, Korea's in the middle. War is I mean, you hear these conservatives talk about war like it's a picnic. It's the biggest nightmare ever, obviously, and the whole country was decimated. How many families and lives were ruined, and they remember that. This wasn't that long ago for them,
Right.
And they're being told the Americans are waiting to finish the job.
And they especially remember it because, like, they got nothing else to distract
Yes,
them, right? Like,
yes.
a little kid remembers everything because they got nothing in their brains yet.
Right.
If your day is just mundane and nothing, and there's no information going in your head
Right.
except state-run information,
Right.
you're going to retain all of it.
And imagine if if the only TV show was MASH, you'd be thinking about the Korean War a lot.
Yeah. Do you think? Wait, who do you think is worse, Kim Jong Un or his father?
The father was worse because the father had 2 million corpses on his hands.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Who's
Really?
more delusional?
Neither of them are delusional anyway.
No.
What's delusional? I mean, he's in charge and he runs his country like a tight ship.
But
I mean,
does he
it's
re- but-
working.
It's working.
Whether you agree with it
Yeah,
or
it's
not,
working.
it's what he's doing is working.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying delusional is to the. I guess maybe he's not delusional then. So he does know what would happen if he does something stupid.
Yeah, that's
He's
why
he's like Conor McGregor. Like, on some level, he knows he's not beating Floyd Mayweather.
Right.
But he also knows that the key to people buying this fight and this happening is just to run his fucking mouth as much as
trash
possible.
talking.
and also to get a gun, nukes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
if Conor McGregor had a gun to that fight, he would have won.
So
It's fair to say.
so what happens if we hit their certain installations?
We got to make sure we take out everything at once, or else it's going to get really bad, really ugly. And they are prepared to retaliate immediately and hit Seoul.
And they would hit Seoul. They wouldn't.
It's funny. I
Yeah.
always think something like this actually brings everybody, like if China and the U.S. and all the, it feels like it'll bring everybody together because
No,
they all
no.
have this common enemy. No,
Putin is really glad that this is fucking with us.
really?
Oh yeah, he's just
I
like.
thought everybody would be on board. You know,
What is this Kumbaya Brady Bunch shit? This is geopolitics. Everyone hates each other, and,
Yeah.
and they like it when their rivals get hurt.
So the
Yeah,
idea
it's like
that the-
Francesa and Craig Carton right now. That Francesa's happy that Craig's in deep shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
he gave him
idea
a
that
lot
the
of shit.
Americans are getting stressed out by North Korea
Yeah.
has Putin going like, look at these stupid Americans. How
exactly.
great is Russia, huh,
That's true.
everybody?
Because we don't give a fuck about the Chechens. We never think about them.
No, they can't get their shit together.
I
We're
was
awesome.
thinking of
Yeah.
the comic book, The Watchmen.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when they had they thought they had the threat from space, and then everybody got together. I guess that's what I'm hoping that's
No,
going to
no, no.
happen.
No,
That's not the way it's
seems
gonna- because it's also like, honestly, like you said, it's the size of Pennsylvania. The idea that the whole world would have to get
Yes.
together to fight this one little place is like ridiculous, and it completely buys into everything they're selling, that we're
Right.
this world power,
Right.
that it takes the entire world to stop us, as opposed
Right.
to
Wow.
So how is
3
he crazy
states.
at all? I mean, they talk. Yeah, he can't walk on water, but he can say with a straight face, "I have the entire world pissing their pants," and
he
it's true.
He knows that he can't walk
Right.
on water. So the idea that he's being portrayed as delusional goes to this way of thinking that, well, he wrote that, so he must think it's true,
Right.
as opposed to it's propaganda.
What
like
about-
the people who write the propaganda know what it is.
And you know what else? I promise you, George Washington never chopped down that cherry tree, and there was no cherry tree ever. You know,
Right.
we tell stories about.
No,
people all
that's
the
not
time.
true.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Whoa. He confessed. He can't tell a lie.
Yeah.
The father of our country.
Nice try, Mike.
Sorry, I'm a North Korean agent. Sometimes the mask slips. You
So when you're there, you're only allowed to take pictures of like monuments and stuff
can
like
take
that.
whatever you want.
Oh, you can.
Yeah. The only big one is there's I think it's like 8 stories high statue. If you go to my website, there's a great picture of me with the 2-liter statue. It's like 8 stories high. And when you take a photo of them, you can't crop it. You have to have their full body. No one ever says why.
Wow.
But yeah.
They don't know about post?
What do you mean?
You just put it on your phone and crop it later?
No. There's that picture.
Yeah.
Leadership.
Oh, wow.
And you're allowed to be in the picture.
Yes.
But they don't know that, like, if you just put it in Photoshop, you could just crop it anyway?
They do know, but they're not going to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, look, you do whatever you're going to do at home.
Right.
Like, it's
Yes.
like being in a relationship where you're like,
Yes.
just don't humiliate me. Don't let me
Right.
find out. And
Right.
do what you got. You're on the road. Do what you got to do.
It's very Victorian.
Yeah.
Don't ask, don't tell. Kind
Those
of
are
thing.
8-story. So, by the way, speaking of don't ask, don't tell, is there any gay life there, do you think, or no?
I saw this great documentary, and
hope so.
it was it was with this Canadian reporter, and he's with his guides at the ostrich ranch in Pyongyang, and they're by the ostriches. and-
Wait, just the actual birds?
Oh,
Ostrich?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because if chickens can feed people, ostriches can feed more people. Was the logic?
That makes sense. They're bigger.
Yeah.
Harder to catch, though.
Yeah. So he's talking to guys. This is his second trip, and he goes, "We talked about gays and lesbians before." They go, "Yes. We don't have that here." He goes, "What about bisexuals?" And the guy sighs. He's like, "What?" And he tries to explain it, and the guy's like, "Look, I already got down with this whole sodomy thing you guys do. Like, I don't need to know any more about this stuff." But the middle son, so Kim Jong Il had 3 sons. Kim Jong Un is the youngest. The middle son is
Gay.
Is like a girl and too much of a sissy to run a
Really?
militaristic
Oh, I was
country.
just
Yes.
kidding.
Wow.
Yes.
Is he still there?
No, he's a Eric Clapton groupie and tours the world
What?
following
No.
Eric Clapton. Yes,
Does
I'm
he
not
still?
kidding.
Does he have money?
Oh yeah, but the eldest son Kim Jong Nam was the one who was recently killed.
Oh, that was the.
Oh, that was the thing at the airport with those
Yes.
2 girls?
Who do you
yeah.
think did that?
Oh.
Was that Kim Jong Un?
100%. Because according to the 10 commandments of North Korea, the 10th commandment is the revolution shall be continued through the generations until it's complete, which means only a direct descendant of Kim Il sung can be the leader. So if Kim Jong Nam is dead, there's no plan B for Kim Jong Un. If he's taken out, it's
What
an
about the
insurance-
other brother?
they're not letting him. I mean, he doesn't actually isn't even acknowledged
He's
to
watching
exist in North
Layla.
Korea.
The guy that was killed.
Yeah.
The
He's
guy that
throwing
was-
kids out of windows.
What would happen if he went to?
happen, right?
So what would happen if he went to see his brother?
If who went to see his brother?
If the what's the sissiest one?
I forgot his name, but he's
The sissy Eric Clapton thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it wouldn't end well for him.
Is that
Would he
him?
really? Would they kill him?
Kim
That's
Jong
the
Un's
one they-
Playboy brother?
That's the
That's the one
eldest
they
one.
killed.
That's the one they
killed. It's
killed,
Kim Jong
yeah.
Nam.
And he was a blood relative?
Yes.
He was
he's
a-
Why did they kill him,
a
though?
half brother. So
What's the
only a
reason?
descendant of Kim Il Sung can be the leader, right?
Oh, he was a half brother.
Right. So if there's 2, and he was passed over. So if there's 2 brothers and one is killed, you have to stick with Kim Jong Un.
Right.
There's
Who
no Mike
passed him
Pence.
over?
What's that?
Who passed him over?
This is the end of my book. Kim Jong Il passed him over because he wanted to liberalize, he wanted to denuclearize, and he wanted to have it like a Chinese process. And Kim Jong Il said, "If you want openness, open a window. We're Koreans; it won't work for us."
Open a window.
Yeah, is that great?
But Kim Jong Il didn't punish him for saying that. He just passed him over.
Well, I mean, it's a big punishment. You're going to be the leader of a country, and now you have to live on the lam in
No,
Macau.
but I mean, did he throw him out of the country, or he decided to leave?
I think it was more he was in fear for his life.
Oh,
you know what I
he
mean?
was,
Yeah,
okay.
correctly.
Probably for good reason.
Well, obviously, he got
Yeah.
killed.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because now that's Kim Jong Il solidifying the fact that he's going to remain the leader.
Kim Jong Un, yeah, correct.
Kim Jong Un.
Yes,
yeah,
correct.
Where did he get? He wasn't in North Korea when he got killed, was he?
No,
He
he's
was
in
in
airport.
Malaysia, yeah.
Wow, that's.
But he lived in Macau.
It was genius how they got
Cow.
how they got them to do it. They told those girls it was a
I don't
prank
believe
show.
that shit
Yeah.
for
Oh,
a
you
second.
don't? Okay.
No.
Oh, you don't- you
What
think
kind
they
of
were
prank is
assassins?
putting a towel over someone's face? That's not a prank.
I thought they blew something in
prank.
his face.
No, it's a towel or
Oh,
like
I
a
thought they were-
cloth.
Yeah,
well,
I
I
thought
thought
it was
they-
powder. or
it's a
something.
goof.
I thought it was a
Fine,
powder.
but it's still. It's. I mean, you saw the
goof.
video. It's not a prank. A prank is
Just
like
fun.
I don't know. Like okay, my mind's going to dark places.
Yeah, mine too.
yeah.
Yes.